is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are LA.
The Angels return from a grueling trip to the East Coast and a long cross-country flight last night to find the first-place Cleveland Indians knocking on the door as this weekend's guests. 6 games in 6 days versus the dangerous American League Central. It all begins tonight on Fox Sports West. Halos trying to forget a 4-game sweep at the hands of the New York Yankees. They arrived in the early morning hours at LAX, and they're ready to play some baseball. It's the first-place Cleveland Indians, first place in the American League Central, that is, in town for the first of 3 tonight. From inside the Big A, we welcome you back to Angels Baseball here on Fox Sports West, along with Mark Gubiza. I'm Victor Rojas, and the focus, of course, for the Angels offense always seems to revolve around Mike Trout and what he has done against previous teams. Cleveland is town. Obviously, he's done something special against them.
Yeah, last time we played him in Cleveland. And take a look at our tools of the trade brought to you by Ram Trucks. In that perfect swing, once again, by Mike Trout, using the entire field against this Cleveland staff. That's Tomlin on the mound going against him last season. He hits that one off the top of the wall for a triple. Not to be outdone, again, using the middle part of the field. That's the thing that's special about Trout. We saw it in New York where he was hitting the ball to center field. He was hitting the ball to right center field, but also has that ability to turn on a pitch on the inside part of the plate. 2 singles, a double, and a triple in that game against Cleveland last time they faced each other. He's going to need to be able to do that against a very good pitcher in Kluber here tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned Corey Kluber's on the mound. Anytime the Indians are in town or the Angels are visiting Cleveland, you know you're going to talk about the pitching staff. Kluber's on the mound for Cleveland. Hector Santiago looking to bounce back after a tough start against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the All-Star last year in Santiago, former Cy Young Award winner in Kluber. He throws the ball very well, but he's had a tough time in his career versus the Angels. 0-2 with an ERA about 5.5. The thing is with Kluber, when he's on his game, very difficult to hit. When he's not so good, that's when you can score early. Hector just has to go out there and attack the strike zone. Don't think too much. Trust that fastball, and again, use that changeup to get some quick outs.
Kicking off a 6-game homestand, 3 against the Tribe, 3 against the Twins. We are just about ready for baseball here at the Big A. Sit back and relax. Lineups and first pitch when we return.
This telecast of Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Hyundai. Great deals on amazing cars are going on now at your Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com today. By Jack in the Box, the Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack is back. Taste it before it's gone. By Mercury Insurance, on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com to get a fast free quote and see how much you can save. And by the Jeep Renegade. Find your inner Renegade and reach your highest potential with an EPA estimated 31 highway miles per gallon.
Game one of a three-game set against the visiting Cleveland Indians. And Gooby, I know you got something special here. It's almost this date in baseball history type of moment.
It's a timeless moment.
Whoa.
Brought to you by Coors Banquet. As a matter of fact, 19 years ago today, Jim Edmonds over-the-shoulder play against David Howard in Kansas City. One of the greatest plays in the history of Major League Baseball. Holds on to it, preserves that victory against the Kansas City Royals. Jim Edmonds, what a play that was.
That must have been the Angels' wings that helped him soar.
There's never a doubt about that.
That's a good-looking uniform.
Yes, it was.
Said
my last one.
People. You have one? You like that one?
Yes. The
last
one I wore.
Huh?
Yes.
The old periwinkle.
Yep.
That's awesome. Hector Santiago's taking the mound, so we will take a look at Terry Francona's starting lineup for the first place Cleveland Indians. 33-26 in the American League Central. 3 up on the Detroit Tigers, and it's Rajai Davis leading things off in center field. Jason Kipnis at second. Francisco Lindor switch hitting shortstop. What a rookie campaign he had last year. Mike Napoli, of course, the former Angel and now called Angel Killer. He is the cleanup hitter at first base. Carlos Santana, the DH. Jose Ramirez, nice little player. He's getting the start out in left field. Juan Uribe, the veteran, is at third base. John Gomes behind the plate. And the veteran minor league player, Michael Martinez, gets the start tonight. He will bat ninth and play right field. Taking on Hector Santiago. He's made 12 starts so far, 3-3, and a 5.07 ERA.
He had 2-1 in his career versus Cleveland with a 4.89 ERA for Hector. But my go-tos for Hector to be successful tonight against Cleveland is get back to basics. Don't try to think too much out there on the mound and slow the game down. In other words, just get that fastball back, spot it, go upstairs, but then go back with his changeup, use his slider. Just hit that strike zone consistently and get some quick outs.
We'll take a look at the defense for the Halos tonight. Rafael Ortega gets a start in left field. Mike Trout at center. Cole Calhoun in right. Yunel Escobar, Gregorio Petit on the left side. Johnny Giavotella and Jeffrey Marte on the right side with Carlos Perez behind the plate.
Hector will get his fair share of fly balls, and Cole Calhoun out in right field has been very good in his career wearing that Angel uniform. The last 3 seasons, 22 outfield assists with 7 errors. Gold Glove winner last season in right field for Cole.
Curious to see how this game plays out because both teams got it in the early morning hours. Cleveland coming from Seattle. They split a 4-game series and played a night game last night, landed just ahead of the Angels. And by the time I think a lot of folks got settled in, it was about 4:30 in the morning. First one tonight is in there for a strike.
A normal night's sleep.
A normal night's sleep. Rajai Davis, a 35-year-old veteran, hitting .257, 6 home runs, 24 RBIs in his first season with Cleveland. Last couple with the Tigers. And that is a little bit upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Beautiful night. We still have some ribbons of sunshine cutting across the pitcher's mound and over at the shortstop position. 70 degrees at first pitch. Mild night, slight little breeze. Good to be back home in SoCal as the 1-1 is cut on and missed. 1 and 2. Needless to say, but a rough trip for the Angels. Took 2 of 3 against Pittsburgh, dropped 4 against the New York Yankees.
Especially when you think about how well the club played in Pittsburgh, one of the best teams we've seen all year. Talented team, and win 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh.
Davis takes a called strike, 3, and there's out number 1.
Hyundai key for this game today, going a little Nelly, going with the fix, and that means pitch very well here at home. Put the offense together, especially score some runs early, and then add on. Get right back to playing Angel baseball to be able to win this game and get something rolling at home, where the Angels have struggled so far this year at home.
Yeah, 14-17 here at home. Cleveland with a winning record at home and out on the road. 16-14 away from Progressive Field as Jason Kipnis, second baseman, takes upstairs. Kipnis, 263 average, 7 home runs, 30 runs batted in, has 10 doubles, 2 triples. Former second-round pick at Arizona State. He loops this one out toward right center field. It's a base hit. Cole, his former college teammate, will cut it off and get that baseball back in. And Kipnis is on board with a 1-out single.
Kipnis, a real big part of their offense here. He hasn't quite got it into gear yet this year. Pretty decent numbers as far as power numbers, extra base hits, but batting average of 263. He's a very good player.
It's a Cleveland team that everyone talks about the pitching, of course, because they've got a very good starting staff. They're fourth as far as staff ERA this year in the American League. They say that the offense hasn't been very good, and obviously dealing without Michael Brantley. He's still dealing with the after effects of shoulder surgery. But when you look at their numbers as a team, not that bad. 8th in average, 8th in home runs, 5th in runs, 7th in both slugging and on-base percentage.
Yeah, Francona's always been able to get a lot out of his everyday players.
He's got a good young one here at the plate. Francisco Lindor, the shortstop. There's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
And there's a lot of conversation, obviously, with Carlos Correa last year, but Lindor, he is a very, very good player who loves to play the game. Always going to see a smile on his face when he's playing that shortstop position.
22-year-old native of Puerto Rico. At .313 with 12 home runs at 51 RBIs. In his 4-month audition with the Cleveland Indians last year. Finished second to Correa in the American League Rookie of the Year balloting.
Well, so far in this at bat for Hector against him, 3 straight changeups.
Kipnis with a 1-out single standing at first base. Down low.
Yeah, ideally for your lineup, you would have Lindor hit number 2 or maybe even a leadoff spot normally. Especially if Brantley was in the lineup at this point, but Francona puts him at number 3 spot, figuring he's their best hitter on their team at this moment. And he is a very good one, but still young, developing in an idea of the strike zone.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Lindor breaks his bat, pulls it foul. Gets some new lumber. Hector in his last start against Pittsburgh allowed 3 runs, all earned, on 4 hits, 4 innings of work.
It's a good slider. You see it right on the handle of the bat. Shatters the bat, piece of bat flying off it. That's a true sharp, late-breaking slider from Hector Santiago. That means he's staying back longer, keeping his front shoulder in and snapping that slider off.
He took something off of it because Lindor was out in front. We'll check in on Kipnis at first base. Kipnis will run on occasion, not like he once did. 31 stolen bases a couple of seasons ago. Has 3 this year. Cleveland 4th in that category. And he got him with a high fastball, 2 down.
It's a real good sequence against him. A lot of all-speed pitches, including that slider, the pitch before, and then went upstairs with a fastball at 91 to get a swing and miss. 4-seam fastball, challenges him upstairs, upper part of the strike zone, couldn't bring his hands up to make contact.
So with 2 outs, here's Mike Napoli, cleanup hitter, now 34 years of age. .234 batting average with 14 home runs at 43 RBIs. .319 career hitter against the Angels. He's had a lot of big hits against his former mates. A little bit low.
That's a pretty good pitch. That's right in the middle of the plate.
2 balls, no strikes.
I mean, this is right in the middle of the plate. I know it wasn't the exact location you're trying to throw, but that's a strike.
2-1.
This one's queued up the line foul. He evens up the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Hector looked like he grabbed the back of his right leg.
And as quickly Carlos Perez going to run out there, as is Adam Neville, Mike Scioscia, and Charles Nagy. He's trying to walk it off.
That's the old hamstring area that he keeps grabbing.
See on the follow through. See how his foot, and he goes after that baseball right then and there. That's when he felt something as he started going off the mound to be able to field that baseball.
That right leg is the landing leg, of course, for a left-handed pitcher. Says he feels fine. He'll give it a go. Hopefully that's all it is. Something a little bit cramp up or something, a little tweak. It's different though. You get a warm-up pitch versus game action.
Yeah,
it is completely different.
Especially if Napoli ends up hitting something on the right side of the infield where you have to make that quick break over to first base once again.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kipnis at first, 2 outs. Two hammered out to left field. Ortega's not going to get there. It'll go to the wall. Kipnis with good speeds being waved around. Relay throw comes in from Petit and is not in time, and the Indians have a 1-0 lead as Napoli picks up his 11th double and 44th run batted in.
He has been an RBI machine for Cleveland this year. It's his 38th career RBI against the Angels. A .319 career hitter against his former team. Slider. And you're going right into that wheelhouse for Napoli. Inner part of the plate, he brings his hands in and still able to get the barrel of the bat on that and hooks it right down in the corner for a double. His 11th double.
Halos play from behind with 2 outs now, and here's Carlos Santana. Switch hitting DH. 221 average for the 30-year-old. 10 home runs and 27 runs batted in. Cuts through the fastball, 92. So the velocity is good for Hector Santiago. So far today, the command's been pretty good around the plate. Last start against Pittsburgh, he was a little erratic. Ended up walking 4 and hitting a batter. One ball, 1 strike. Nobody holding Napoli on at second. This one's yanked down the left field line. That'll bring in another run. Santana hustling over towards second base. The throw from Rafael Ortega is offline. It's 2-0 Cleveland. Back-to-back 2-out doubles.
In that pitch, an all-speed pitch, getting a little bit too much of the strike zone there also. And this over the head of Escobar and down the line for another double. 2 doubles, a single Cleveland in this inning. Especially with this pitching staff, you don't want to fall too far behind.
Jose Ramirez, starting left fielder tonight. Hitting .306, 3 home runs, 21 runs batted in. Good speed. No balls, 2 strikes. This one's lined out towards center field. That's going to get down for a base hit. Santana's going to be waved in. The throw from Trout, a little bit up the line, and a run will score. And it's 3-0 Cleveland. It's 3 straight 2-out hits for the Indians.
You see location that Carlos is setting up. It's a good view behind the home plate where Carlos is setting up, and he's got to reach back on the inner half of the plate. Ramirez, another base hit. He's having a fantastic season for him so far this year.
That'll go as a single, taking the extra base on the throw home. And an issue that Hector's had of late is not finishing guys off. Here's Juan Uribe. Now 37 years of age. 223 average, a couple of home runs, 13 runs batted in. Down and in the dirt. Nice block by Carlos. .25 pitches thrown by Santiago. He's the 2 outs that he picked up, both on strikeouts. Davis and Lindor. But then 3 straight hits off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. And you know, it's easy to go back during the Napoli at bat and that little cramp that he felt in that back of the right leg and say maybe that's effective. But he hasn't looked like it's bothering him whatsoever. It's just mislocations.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, Victor. Where you're trying to hit the outside corner and runs back the inside corner. Same thing with all speed pitches. His sequence against Lindor was perfect. 4 changeups, a slider, and then a high fastball to get a swing and miss. And then all of a sudden his sequences of pitches have not been there, especially hitting his spots.
Ramirez at second base with 2 outs. 2-2. Uribe fouls it off. Ramirez takes off. The 2-2 is downstairs. A full count. The borderline pitch.
Yeah, that could have been called a strike. A couple already in this inning for Hector. Great lower part of the strike, so no doubt a strike.
Three-two. Uribe bounces this with Escobar third base. Low throw. Marte can't handle it. A run scores, and it's 4-0 Cleveland. Yunel Escobar gets charged with the error, his 10th of the season.
Gathers himself. It seemed like he has a lot of time to throw the ball. Not quite as accurate, but one of those throws still as a first baseman like Marte, not a lot of time at that position. That's a play normally you would get as a first baseman.
Yeah, I was watching the replay there. Looked like the ball hit the glove of Marte. That could easily be an error on the first baseman.
Could be the error on the first baseman. I agree.
So we play on here the first. 4-0 Cleveland. Yan Gomes, the catcher, 8th man to come to the plate. And Hector falls behind at 2 balls and no strikes. Two and 1.
give up too many more runs here, especially when you look at Cleveland, 4th best ERA in the American League.
Pretty good rip at a fastball by Gomes. 2 balls, 2 strikes. A rally that started with 2 outs and a man at first and a 2-2 count on Mike Napoli. Back-to-back doubles, a single, now the error. 2-2. Gomes pops this one up first base side, and this will drift into the seats. Now 35 pitches thrown by Santiago.
Means going to be a number of innings out of the bullpen once again tonight. That many pitches thrown already for Hector. See that pitch right there, he didn't follow through on his changeup. He guided that in there. He threw some very good ones to Lindor, the 3rd batter of the game. You had to follow through on that changeup.
Marte will play behind Uribe at first base. He's going to take off on the next pitch with a full count of 2 outs. Gomes fouls it back. Another 3-2. This is fouled back to the right.
Nice play in the stands. Nice play.
And that is out to deep left center field. Ortega got a beat on it, it seems. Stepping on the track, makes the catch in this inning. Finally comes to an end. 4 runs on the board for Cleveland. We will head to the bottom of the first. Escobar, Calhoun, and Trout coming up for the Angels. Let's check out Mike Scioscia's lineup for the Angels. Game number 61 at 26-34. The Angels now 11 back in the American League West. We'll have Escobar leading things off at third, Calhoun in right, Trout at center, Albert DHing tonight with Marte at first base. Johnny Giavatella at second. It's Ortega in left, Carlos Perez behind the plate, and Gregorio Petit batting ninth and playing shortstop as to take on the 30-year-old right-hander Texas native by the name of Corey Kluber.
Cy Young Award winner back in 2014, has very good stuff. Fastball, cut fastball, curveball, changeup. My go-tos to be successful against Kluber is look outer half and create doubt. He doesn't have real good numbers against the Angels in his career, and certainly not in this ballpark. 0-2 with a 6.97 here at the Big A.
First one is in for a strike. Yunel Escobar hitting .311, 14 doubles, 3 home runs, 17 runs batted in. Takes off the plate. Evens a count of 1 ball, 1 strike. Mentioned the overall numbers for Kluber. This will be his 4th start of his career against the Angels. 0-2. 5.51 ERA. Slider away. A 2-1 count, but he takes to the mound a 4-0 lead. Had to sit a little extra time. See if the Angels can at least scratch out a couple of runs here. 2-1. Now it's out towards center field. This will chase Davis back, and that's over his head. Off the wall. Gets away from Davis. Escobar strolling into second with a leadoff double.
Well, that certainly gets it started right there. Ball hit extremely well by Escobar once again. His 15th double this season. Take a look at our AT&T high-speed replay. Trying to go inside with a fastball, but this time Escobar is ready for that 93-mile-an-hour fastball. And off the center field wall and away from Davis. Though not going to have a play there at second anyhow. Leadoff double for Escobar.
'15 double for Yunel. He's in scoring position for Cole Calhoun. Bouncer right side, and that's Kipnis, the second baseman. He'll retire Calhoun as Escobar advances over to third. Check out the Indians' defense tonight. It's Ramirez, Davis, and Martinez in the outfield from left to right. Uribe, Lindor, Kipnis, and Napoli from third to first, and Gomes behind the plate.
And Cole Calhoun's teammate at Arizona State, Casey Kipnis, playing second base, has played that very, very well this season. It's 1 earned, .996 fielding percentage, to second best amongst AL second basemen. Only to Robinson Cano has turned also 24 double plays.
Trout takes low. Mike hitting .308 with 13 home runs and 43 runs batted in. Halos last night against New York, managing a total of 8 hits. Trout had 1 of them. Fouls this one back to the right.
Speaking of the Yankees, they won again. They beat Detroit 4-0 tonight.
Over 500 now. One and two. Trout 1 for 7 in his career against Kluber. Couple of walks.
Pretty good pitch to drive there. Ran that 94-mile-an-hour fastball, tried to get Trout to chase it. He's just barely above the strike zone.
Two ground ball to first base. Napoli bobbled it. Flips it to Kluber. The Angels get a run out of it. It's 4-1 Cleveland. Looked as if perhaps Napoli was going to field it and come home.
He thought about it. We've seen that a couple times this year. Remember that play from a first baseman is assuming on a contact play you're not going to throw it. But that's where going, and he has a play at him. I think if he gets that right away with Napoli's arm, he can get him at home potentially, but this takes the play at first after the bobble.
Yeah, it was that series against? The Angels had 3 straight nights of getting guys thrown out at the plate.
Was it Moreland, one of them, with Texas?
Yeah, I think that was it. So base is clear. The Angels get 1. Looking for more. And here's Albert, the DH. 236 average, 12 home runs, and 41 runs batted in. Takes a strike.
Amazing numbers for Kluber this year. 5-0 in those W's with an ERA 0.96. But when he loses the game, ERA well over 6.38. You see very talented starting staff for Cleveland.
Chopper left side as Juan Uribe. Pujols retired for the third out. The Angels get a run back on the ground out by Trout ahead of the second, with Cleveland leading at 4-1. Set as it begins to set here in Southern California. Hey, stay tuned later tonight on the postgame show for the business of sports, brought to you by AutoNation.com, powered by Toyota Irvine. Michael Martinez jumping on the first pitch, and he singles to lead off the second inning. 9-1-2 for the Tribe against Hector Santiago. Martinez, a 33-year-old native of the Dominican Republic. On board lead off this second. Here comes Rajai Davis.
And Davis also very aggressive on the first pitch, especially if it's a fastball. See there, he was thinking about swinging that changeup, but that was well off the plate.
Davis went down looking in the first. And he hits one out toward left field. Ortega's gonna not make a play on it. Nice effort, but just over his head. Martinez had to hold up. Will only advance to third base. It's a double for Rajai Davis, and the Indians taking off from where they left off, I should say, in the first inning. Another hard hit ball. Thought for a second that Ortega had a chance at it.
Yeah, he ran back there quickly on a fastball. See, he was able to get his arms extended. Rajai Davis has been a very solid player throughout his career. Can run a lot, plays a pretty solid outfield just over the head of Ortega. And going back to the base and then re-tagging the base. And Martinez, especially with no outs at this point, just get to that third base bag. Be content, especially with this part of the order coming up for Cleveland.
Kipnis had a single his first time up. Will take a strike. Corner infielders, Marte and Escobar about even with the bag. Middle infield back at normal depth. 43 pitches thrown by Santiago. Nobody out here the second. He's allowed 6 hits. And that is ripped to right field. Make that 7 hits. And it's 5-1 Indians as Davis gets stopped over at third base. Hector Santiago not fooling anybody.
Getting that pitch out over the plate, although Hector, when he's going well, You can get hitters a swing and miss or pop up the high fastball, but it's a little bit further down in the strike zone, above the strike zone. And the bullpen looks like it's going to be getting ready right away here.
That phrase hasn't been overused this year. Those guys are logging some serious innings. First one's down low. Lindor, a strikeout victim in the first.
And go right back to the changeup first pitch.
Dale Esquera, the first man up. Dale can give Socia, Charles Nagy some innings. Kipnis takes off. This one's fouled back. One ball, one strike.
This Cleveland club is very aggressive running the bases. 41 stolen bases coming into the game today.
Rajai Davis leading with 14. Mitchell Kipnis has 3. You mentioned Rajai Davis. I mean, talk about a perfect guy. Still doing it at age 35, signing a 1-year deal, $5 million. Provides a little spark plug. Did a nice job for the Tigers.
Occasional power from me too.
Yeah. Now, you know what? Not a bad career for a 38th round selection.
And that's what we talk about when you talk about the draft.
Yeah.
You always talk about the first and second rounds. It's that ability for a club to find a player like a Rajai Davis in that round of the draft.
Foul back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 38th round pick of the Pittsburgh Pirates back in 2001.
Always like the way he plays. Not only plays at center field, he's made a couple unbelievable plays in his career playing left field. Remember that one he made in Toronto? Was it last year or the year before that, where he climbed up on the wall? He's been solid.
That's out towards center field. Deep enough to score. Davis. He'll come in, and it's 6-1 Cleveland. Lindor picks up his 30th RBI. First out here, the second in the books. Kipnis still at first base, and here comes Mike Napoli. Napoli with an RBI double and a run scored in the first. Of the 6 runs, 5 earned. That last one in the first inning unearned because of the error by Escobar. Napoli signing a 1-year deal in the offseason with Cleveland. Finished up last year with Texas. $295 for them in 35 games. That pitch should have been a strike.
I mean, that's pretty much right down the middle of the plate.
Now, I mean, listen, Hector's missed quite a bit tonight, but that pitch is a strike, regardless of where Carlos Perez is at.
I mean, look at our fox strike. That's basically right down almost the middle part of the plate.
3-0.
In this game right here, you have 2 batters that are seeing the most pitches per plate appearance. Mike Napoli at the top, followed by Mike Trout. Both have had pretty long at bats already in this game.
Swinging 3-0, as he often does against the Angels, it seems.
Yeah, he's seeing about 4.68 pitches per plate appearance. Trout 4.51.
Just off the plate, that's ball 4. That's the first walk issued by Hector. The Indians have runners at first and second with 1 out. Carlos Santana coming up. Here comes Mike Socia. That looks like it's going to be it for Santiago. Dale Esquera is ready to go in the bullpen. Mentioned the struggles that Santiago's had of late in particular. Tonight unable to get that 3rd out in the first, and then it just snowballed on him. He gets taken out after just an inning and a 3rd. We have ourselves a pitching change. First of the night, we're in the 2nd inning with Cleveland on top 6-1. Outing of his career, throwing 54 pitches, 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, and that's still not the final line because he's responsible for the 2 guys on base. Kipnis at second and Napoli at first base as Dale Esguerra takes over on the mound as they're in and out. Who's in, who's out? Guerra now pitching in his 6th game as an Angel. 1-0 record of .432 ERA, 10 strikeouts, no walks in 8 1/3. He's a guy that can get you a ground ball, get you out of this inning with a double play.
Yeah, he definitely has that sink action on his fastball along with his slider, curve, and his changeup. Picked up his first W wearing that Angel uniform on that road trip into Pittsburgh against his former team.
And when I say it's the 3rd shortest outing of Hector Santiago's career, 3rd shortest start of his career. Obviously came up as a reliever with the White Sox. There's Carlos Santana, spins around to hit from the left side. And the first one's down low. I will say this about that start, the shortest start that Hector had. It was last year, as a matter of fact, against Minnesota at Minnesota in September. Gave up 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning. The Angels came back and won that game. That's all I'm saying.
I'm like what you're
it
thinking.
Was 11-8. It is just the 2nd inning. 2-0. Pardon me, 1-0 in their first strike, 1-1. Taylor's last pitch on Wednesday against the Yankees through 23 pitches. Picked up the win last Sunday at Pittsburgh. One and two.
Couple of changeups followed by the fastball there to get ahead of the count.
There's Kipnis. Petit trying to keep him close to the bag at second. Changeup down low. That'll even up the count. Santana with a double in the first inning, his 10th of the year. Picked up an RBI, his 28th. And also scored a run. Full count.
Number of changeup in this at bat for Guerra against Santana. Does a pretty good job as far as staying back on all speed pitches, though.
This one's fouled back. Santiago now has allowed 25 runs in his last 5 starts. Right around 18 innings. Payoff pitch again. Santana skies this one. It'll stay in play. They're calling infield fly roll, but it's foul territory. Makes the catch. 2 down.
Boy, consider where Hector was in the very beginning of the season. We were talking about his fastball velocity consistently 93 to 95. Started off very, very well. All of a sudden, the struggles. Very good game in Seattle back on May 15th. From that point forward, though, it's been tough for Hector.
Yeah, those last 5 starts, 0-1. 3 no decisions. See what happens tonight.
Certainly a lot of baseball left, and you know, as good as Kluber can be, he hadn't had a lot of success against the Angels, and especially in this ballpark, so plenty of time.
Ramirez, switch hitter, batting from the left side, out in front of the off speed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Had an RBI single with a run scored to the first. Cleveland has 4 switch hitters in their lineup. Lindor, Santana, Ramirez, and then the number 9 hitter, Martinez, who started off the 2nd inning with a single. That's lined out to right field. It's going to hang up for Calhoun. The inning comes to an end. 2 more runs on the board for Cleveland. They strand 2. We head to the bottom of the second. Angels down 6-1.
On the mound, Cy Young Award winners in Indians history. Gaylord Perry won in 1972. CC Sabathia 2007. Cliff Lee followed right back up 2008. And Corey Kluber 2014 for the Cleveland Indians.
Jeffrey Marte takes a strike from Kluber. Marte getting to start at first base tonight. Cloud cover, but no threat of rain. Southern California.
No.
Is there ever?
There was supposed to be.
That's been alleged a number of times, Gooby.
Yes.
Ball and a strike on Marte. C.J. Cron sitting tonight. Check swing. Went around.
Well, Gaylord Perry won the Cy Young as a Cleveland Indian. What uniform did he wear going in the Hall of Fame? I know he had a bunch of different teams he played for, and I think he went with that type of jersey on with all the teams he played for, didn't he?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Really
usually there's always one hat they go in with.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, I remember when he used to play in they still had that series, the Old Timers series. He would have the uniform with all the patches
Yes.
of the different teams. 2-2, chopper to second. 1 down. And this Father's Day, every moment matters. Treat Dad like an all-star with the ultimate Angels Stadium experience on June 19th. That's Father's Day, folks. Enjoy playing catch in the outfield, hitting in the Angels batting cages, taking a behind-the-scenes stadium tour, and more. For more information on Dad's Day and to purchase tickets to this event, call 714-940-2007 or email us at events@angels.com.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
The chance to do that.
Johnny Giavatello hitting .256, couple of home runs, 18 runs batted in. Snapped it 0 for 18 last night with a double. Ended up going 1 for 4. San Francisco Giant is what Gaylord Perry went in as. His original ball club from 62 to 71. Cleveland 72 to 75. Texas, San Diego, the Yankees, the Braves, the Mariners, the Royals. Almost a teammate of yours, 83.
Yeah, I was going to say I saw him in spring training with Steve Branco and a bunch of guys like that. Some veterans on that team.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was just watching we had plenty of time to watch a number of movies last night on that 5-hour flight from New York. But watched the 30 for 30 Believeland.
Yes.
Is what it's called, about the history of Cleveland sports. And the first shot that they show when they start talking about the Indians is the Indians at Old Municipal Stadium, and it's a shot of Gaylord Perry, and there's an umpire checking his hat.
Yes.
Shocker.
What a great ballpark that was. The weather was always seemed to be perfect in that yard. No rain.
An interesting documentary. All the things that the Cleveland sports fans have had to endure.
Yeah, you feel for them out there as a city. I mean, they're just a great bunch of people, that city, hard-working city. But their sports teams have struggled for a long time. They got a good team here, though, the Cleveland Indians, especially with that pitching staff they have. And they got a basketball team in the finals this year again.
That's a pretty good pitch. Doesn't get called a strike, so it's 1-2 on Ortega. 244 with 5 doubles, a home run, and 9 runs batted in. Ortega goes down swinging for the second out of the inning. Carlos Perez, the catcher, comes up with 2 outs. Giavatello over at first base. Slider for a strike. Carlos, a 197 average. Couple of home runs, 14 runs batted in. That'll be a balk.
balk, yes.
A stumble there.
As he's going through on the follow through. All of a sudden it looked like it, maybe at that point pushing off the pitching rubber, slipping on the back, and even though it is a balk, you're going to allow the runner to advance. It's probably better off not throwing that baseball at that point because you have no idea where it may end up throwing it to.
Perez goes down chasing the slider. Second strikeout of the inning for Kluber. We played 2, and the Indians are on top 6-1. Half of the third. Hey, folks, Pepsi Emojis will take over Angel Stadium on Tuesday, June 14th. Halos taking on the Twins at 7:05. Pepsi is set to break a world record with Pepsi Emoji, and fans can save for after-game concert. They call it a special performance by Grace and Flowrider. Flowrider.
My house.
Visit angels.com/promotions for more info. Bottom third of the order, Uribe, Gomes, and Martinez. Deolis Guerra got the last 2 outs in the second inning. Start a clean inning here against Juan Uribe. Reached on the error by Yunel Escobar in the first.
Well, he's been on a lot of winning teams throughout his career. And solid in the roles he's played for those winning teams. Back to the White Sox, the Giants. Big part of the Dodgers' success there for a while.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, Uribe certainly bounced around.
Tremendous power.
He punches this one out to right field. Calhoun not going to get there. It'll fall in for a base hit. Leadoff single for Juan Uribe, and here comes Yan Gomes. Gomes, a fly ball to deep left to end the first inning, so he's 0 for 1. Slices this one down the line. Cole was shading him that way. Dives, and he got it. Nice play by Cole Calhoun for the first down.
That is an unbelievable play and a very scary play to make, especially when you're diving like that into that short wall. There's no give whatsoever. But what a play by the 2015 Gold Glove winner. It's worthy of a Carlos Cam replay. The full extension on the dive, and able to brace himself and turn the head as he's going face first towards that wall to absorb it with the shoulder. That's an unbelievable play by Cole Calhoun. The full extension on the dive.
There's Michael Martinez, the right fielder.
Boy, a play like that should spark your team to get going and get the energy level up. That's an unreal play. And a very dangerous play.
It's easy for fans to kind of start getting on a team that has fallen 11 games back in a division, just got swept by the Yankees, returned home. All of a sudden it's 6-1 in the second inning, and say that maybe that there's no fire there. We're around these guys all the time. The fire's still there.
No question.
They've dealt with some adversity. They're not blaming the adversity for the issues that have unfolded for this Angels team the first 2.5 months of the season. But these guys still care, and they're busting their tail every single game.
Well, that play is very indicative to that type of fire still with this team. What a play and effort by Cole Calhoun.
This one looped behind third base. Escobar racing over to foul territory. Nice play for him. Makes the catch for out number 2.
So a couple really solid defensive plays. Escobar going back. See him playing well off the third base bag. Reaching over the shoulder. Showed a little earlier that Jim Evans play over the shoulder. A little bit different how much ground he covered.
You think? A little bit different. Yeah, I like how you said that.
Yeah, just a little bit. But still in the end, over the shoulder, ball in the glove to play.
Bouncer foul. Rajai Davis, 1 for 2, double and a strikeout. Beach ball out on the warning track at right. One ball, one strike. Davis struck out in the first looking, doubled and scored in the second. Check swing. They wanted to peel. Did not go. Andy Fletcher calling the balls and strikes tonight. Ravishing Rob Drake at first. Mark Ripperger at second. And Kerwin Danley over at third. Is this the first time we've seen Kerwin Danley this year? Been a while.
Yeah, I know for sure it has.
2-1. In tight, 3-1. Davis pops it up. Gregorio Petit calling for it. Inning comes to an end. We'll head to the bottom of the third. 9-1-2 coming up for the Angels. Good defense for the Halos in the third.
That was an outstanding diving play by Cole and Escobar over the shoulder. Two solid defensive plays.
Rivalries in baseball. Giants taking on the Dodgers at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on FS1. The Indians take on the Angels in a game you can only see on FS1. You can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Kenny Albert, Mark Kubica with the call tomorrow night on FS1.
Oh, yeah. You raising the roof again?
Yeah, because I get to hang out at the house. Watching you guys. Have fun.
Yes, indeed.
6-1 Cleveland here in the third. 15 Escobar Calhoun to face Corey Kluber. Has 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit allowed. Gregorio Petit, a 277 batting average with a home run. 9 doubles, 9 runs batted in. One ball, 2 strikes.
He had a very solid road trip, 9 for 23. Also 6 for 13 in that series against the Yankees.
Petit swings at it.
Lindor, perfect fielding position to field that bat. One down.
Now it's time for the Lowe's home field advantage. Speaking of that, for Escobar, his first season with the Angels, his last 21 home games, batting average of .338, 56 for 77, on base percentage over .400 to .407. He's had 9 multi-hit games. Escobar hitting here at the Big A in the last 21 home games. Crushed a double, his first at bat, and scored the Angels' only run so far of the game.
Yeah, off the wall and straight away center field. 15 doubles for Escobar now. And he chops this one over to Kipnis. 2 down. Cole gets a nice round of applause as he's introduced here after making that diving catch in foul territory. Top of the third.
Cole, very solid road trip himself, especially in Pittsburgh.
Cole grounded out his first time up.
Thing he knows about Corey Kluber, he does not waste any time either. Stays right on that pitching rubber.
Three strikeouts now for the former Cy Young Award winner. 1 walk. 9 and 16 last year, but a 3.49 ERA.
Yeah, he didn't get a whole lot of run support.
With 32 starts for Cleveland last season. Alba. Originally a 4th round pick by the Padres in '07 out of Stetson University. That's in Florida. And came over to Cleveland in the Jake Westbrook trade. Westbrook, boy.
That's
one time, that was a nasty sink piece.
I was going to say that was a bowling ball sinker.
Another 0-2. Cole goes down swinging. The Angels are done here into third. We head to the 4th inning with Cleveland on top 6-1. Hey folks, the Angels will take on the Twins on Wednesday, June 15th at 7:05. Fans in attendance will receive a canvas beach backpack courtesy of Chevron Extra Mile while supplies last. Visit angels.com/promotions to get your tickets. 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Tribe here in the fourth inning. Kipnis, Lindor, and Napoli to face Deolis Garib, who's worked an inning and 2/3 so far. He's allowed 1 hit. Kipnis 2 for 2, a couple of singles, an RBI, and a run scored.
And one thing about Kipnis, he very rarely swings at that first pitch. You talk about swing percentage on the first pitch, 6.2% for Kipnis. Very patient at the plate.
Two on count. Good off-speed pitch, fouled back. Now the 2-2. Kipnis, emergency hack. That's a fair ball. He'll get thrown out by Carlos Perez for out number 1. But nasty pitch, forcing the old telephone booth swing.
That's looking for an off-speed pitch. That's amazing. You make contact with that swing. Couple really good at bats early for Kipnis, but that fastball in now. Now when you're looking away for something off speed. And it's a movement at 91.
Lindor struck out on the first, had a sac fly in the second. Popped up. Escobar, the third baseman, calling for it, puts it away. 2 outs.
First baseman, number 26, Napoli.
Guerra's done a nice job settling this game down now. You have to deal with a very dangerous hitter, though. Although Napoli patient, there's times where he'll look first pitch fastball, so you have to locate it well.
Napoli an RBI double and a walk. Santiago got the start tonight, inning in the third. 6 runs, 5 earned on 7 hits, 2 strikeouts and a walk. Mentioned earlier about Mike Napoli, tops as far as seeing pitches per plate appearance. He's been 2-0 in all 3 plate appearances so far tonight.
One thing about Mike Napoli we've seen over the years, he definitely doesn't look to try to hit the ball the other way there, especially in those good fastball counts.
1 swing, 1 path.
Yes.
It's worked out well for him.
Very well. The pitchers are trying to get him to chase high fastballs. You can get that fastball just below the letters, but if you can get that fastball up, letters or above, you can get a swing and miss.
Called strike 3. Just off the plate. Napoli can't believe it, but Andy Fletcher brings it up, and Guerra picks up his first strikeout. Halos trail at 6-1 as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Welcome inside our broadcast booth. The Angels springing up 3, 4, and 5, and of course that starts with Mike Trout and Corey Kluber tonight so far as advertised. Just as we said, it's always going to be around the strike zone.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had a lot of success against the Angels in his career, but already tonight he's been able to establish the fastball in. But his slider and cut fastball have been his bread and butter pitches so far in this game.
John Pujols, Marte. .38 pitches for Kluber, 25 strikes, 4 punch outs, 1 walk, 1 hit. Trout check swing foul. Trout picked up an RBI on a ground out in the first inning. His 44th run batted in. Grounds this one to third. One down.
Uribe always known for being able to crush the baseball, successful swings, but he's pretty solid defensively too. He's always had that strong throwing on former shortstop when he's with the White Sox.
Albert Pujols grounded out to Uribe, his first at bat. Albert 12th on the all-time list, 572 home runs. Next home run will tie him with Harmon Killebrew for 11th.
Hyundai key for this game for the Angels to be successful. We talk about the fix. You got to get right back into getting some good swings in there before Kluber gets any more comfortable on the mound. Figured being back home be better. Cleveland, 4 runs in the first, 2 in the second. And set the pace at this point.
This one's driven out to center field. Davis got turned around a little bit, still going back. He'll make the catch just shy of the wall for out number 2.
Talked about how Davis covers some ground even off the bat. The most difficult play for a center fielder is one hit right over your head like that. He's able to track it down with his speed.
Marte grounded out on his first at bat.
He's seen a lot of cut fastballs and sliders so far of the night. Another slider. You probably saw some tape of those couple swings he had in New York. Big time home runs, back-to-back games.
Two balls, one strike. Padres now getting ready for the Angels. Guerra's gone 2 1/3 so far. 2 2/3, pardon me. Three and one. Marte lines one out to right. Martinez moving back on it, will make the catch, and the Angels go down in order. That is 8 in a row retired by Kluber. 6-1 Cleveland as we head to the 5th.
Baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Subaru, making the world a better place. That's why they created Subaru Loves to Care, Subaru's commitment to a healthier community. And by El Pollo Loco, try the new fire-grilled chicken burritos today.
Top of the 5th inning, Indians on top 6-1, game 1 of a 3-game series, a 6-game homestand. Mike Scioscia's gone to the bullpen and brought in Padres here, removing Deolis Guerra, who allowed 1 base runner through 2 2/3. So a little surprising, but Bedrosian gets to start this 5th inning clean. He'll face Santana, Ramirez, and Uribe. Cam much better in these types of situations instead of the ones in which he's entered games with men in scoring position or even on base. He struggled with inherited runners this year.
Nice job though by Guerra though. Threw the ball very well. His changeup was excellent. Movement on his fastball.
Guerra ended up throwing 39 pitches in his 2 2/3. Santana skies went out to center. One down. On Sunday that might be a different story, that ball. But it's an out here to start the 5th. And the Angels will take on the Indians again tomorrow, since it's game 2. It's a 7:05 start. Fans in attendance will receive a commemorative Mike Trout trading card presented by Tops while supplies last. Visit angels.com/promotions to get your tickets. Remember, 7:05 start tomorrow on Saturday. You got fireworks afterwards.
Well, this Cleveland club early on has been impressive. Saw the numbers leading the division at AL Central coming into this series. They catch the ball well, certainly pitch well. They're also aggressive on the bases.
Well, the Tigers got shut out tonight 4-0 by the Yankees. White Sox beat Kansas City 7-5. The Indians could extend their lead in the Central. Their lead currently 3 over the Tigers and the Royals. 3.5 over Chicago.
A foul ball got Carlos Perez. Ernie Fletcher was asked if he was all right, but that got him right on the arm.
Minnesota, of course, bringing up the rear in the Central. They will be here on Monday night. 3 night games against the Twins. Things did not fare well for the Angels the first meeting of the season against Minnesota. Ground ball over to first. Marte takes it himself. 2 down.
Third baseman, number 4,
Speaking of the Twins, Justin Morneau, he signed with the White Sox.
Yep. Immediately on the disabled list. Low risk, potential high reward. He's able to do anything.
Former MVP.
White Sox lost Austin Jackson to the disabled list. So it's 4 to 6 weeks or thereabouts.
CFA'd Jimmy Rollins. Well, they have been struggling, the White Sox. They won their big game today.
Marte is there. And Pedroia with a quick 1-2-3 fifth. Well, to the bottom of the 5th inning, still 6-1 Cleveland. To look at, except zeros in the hit column. The only one is Yunel Escobar, who had a double off the wall back in the 1st inning. Since then, only one other base run, and that was Johnny Giavitello, 1-out walk. Kluber's retired 8 straight since that walk. He's going to face Giavitello, Ortega, and Perez here in the Angels' half of the 5th inning. Walk that Johnny picked up in the 2nd, his 7th of the year. Takes ball 1.
1-0 counts against Kluber this year. Batters been well over 400 10 for 23 with a home run and 3 RBI.
.51 pitches for Kluber. 32 have been strikes. Lifted out towards shallow right. Martinez, the right fielder, comes in, calls off Kipnis. One down.
Left fielder, number 39.
So far in this game, a 1-1 counts. 5 of 8 batters retired. That's an important count because when you go to that 2-1 count, get ahead of that count like that, try to work that 2-1 count, better opportunity to get the pitcher, or when Kluber's been ahead of the count, 1-2, 5 times mentioned out of 8 times 1-1 count. I meant to say that instead of balls in play.
Ortega rolls a foul.
So you want to be, as a hitter, you want to be in that 2-1 count because you can center in on a fastball. Now for Kluber, especially with his cutter and slider, getting ahead of the count 1-2, very important for him. And we're right back in one of those counts now, that 1-1 count. Now back ahead now. That gives him options. Being ahead of the count 1-2. 6 of 9. And he's been in a 1-1 count to throw a strike. To work back in his favor.
One ball, 2 strikes.
You know, when you look statistically for hitters over the years, whether it's 0-1 or 1-2, as compared to 1-0 and 2-1, such an advantage for the hitter when you're ahead of the count. Strikeout since 2014. Clayton Kershaw at the top. Scherzer right behind him, and then Corey Kluber, third.
This one's out towards center field. Davis racing back, and it'll slice right back toward him. 2 down. Ball struck by Ortega, but nothing to show for it. He's 0 for 2 on the night. Here comes Carlos Perez. Yeah, to your point, I was just looking at the numbers as far as the splits for the Angels. You talk about the 2-1 hitters count. 1-0, 2-1, 3-1, good hitters counts. But at 2-1 as a team, the Angels have hit 296 collectively. Now the thing that's interesting is after a 2-1 count, that batting average drops down to 223. So not getting him a 2-1, then all of a sudden you're running into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, most times as a pitcher, 2-1 count, you'll go after him with a fastball. So as a hitter, that's what you're looking for. You want to be put yourself in a fastball count. Then all of a sudden, if you get back to a 2-2 count or a foul ball, you don't put it in play. You're right back to the advantage for the pitcher there, because then you can throw whatever pitch, your secondary pitch you want to throw. Four 0-2 counts in this game for Kluber.
Carlos goes down swinging for the second time, and the Angels are down in order. 5 of the books, 6-1 Cleveland.
baseball. Chicago beats Kansas City. Kansas City's lost 8 in a row, 4 home runs for Chicago. They finally figured out how to beat Kansas City. Seattle leading against the Rangers 5-1, and the Dodgers lead in San Francisco 2-1. What a pitching matchup. Kershaw versus Cueto. Look at a game break in that game in the first inning. Adrian Gonzalez against Cueto, tried a quick pitch him. He stayed back. Base hit in the right field, giving the Dodgers a 2-0 lead. At that point, Duffy hit a home run for San Francisco against Kershaw in the bottom of the first, and that's where that stands now, 2-1. Those two battle. They're going to be on Fox tomorrow.
Bullpen game continues. Jose Alvarez takes over on the mound for Cam Bedrosian with 1 inning. All zeros for Cam. Alvarez pitching in his 30th game. 1-2 mark at a 5.14 ERA. 28 strikeouts, but 9 walks in 28 innings of work for Alvarez. Opponents hitting .316 against him. He's got Gomes, Martinez, and Davis, 3 right-handed batters. Gomes taps it foul. No balls, 2 strikes. Hector Santiago got the start. What lasted just an inning and a third, giving up 6 runs, 5 earned. Dale Lasquera, 2 2/3 of scoreless baseball, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Bedrosian 1, and now Alvarez here for the 6th inning. Saw that note at the bottom on Gomes, one of 3 players born in Brazil, Sao Paulo to be exact. Grew up in South Florida though. To Southridge High School, Miami Southridge High School, and then on to the University of Tennessee for the first 2 years, and then Barry University.
A very good defensive catcher with a plus throwing arm.
Goes down swinging. 1 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Los Angeles Angels. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball LP. Martinez, a single with a run scored in the second, a pop-up in the third. This is back up the middle. Sounded like it broke his bat. That's a single. His second hit. Good story for a guy who's 33 years of age. Guy's been an organizational player through a couple of different franchises. A couple of cups of coffee with Philadelphia and Pittsburgh last year with Cleveland. They re-signed him this offseason. They love the work that he does in the minor leagues with kids. He's getting an opportunity here in the big leagues this season.
We'll see how many years he played in the minor leagues, but a guy that can play a number of different positions for you.
There's Rajay Davis. And you need guys like that, especially guys that will take young Latin players and kind of break them in down in the minor leagues. First one's outside to Rajay Davis. 1 for 3 tonight with a double.
Alvarez looking for a ground ball double play. Not easy to be able to turn with Davis at the plate.
2-1.
check in at first base. No stolen bases or attempts for Martinez. Cleveland scoring 4 runs in the first, 2 in the second. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Davison liked that call, but it was in the strike zone. And he got him with the off-speed pitch. Martinez on a delayed steal is thrown out at second base, and a little leather on the face to boot.
Another real good throw by Carlos Perez.
The 6th inning. Halos inning up 9-1-2.
Good changeup. Then quickly on the late steal, perfect throw right on the money, and the tag applied. Martinez by Giavotella on the arm, and then hit him in the face with the glove. But Perez is thrown out. 42% of would-be base stealers this year. That'll go up after that throw.
Patina strikeout victim in his first at bat. Petit yanks one down the line, but foul. 2 balls, 1 strike. Two. Longoria goes down chasing that slider. It's been a good one tonight for Kluber. He's getting guys chasing that pitch off the plate by plenty.
Yeah, even from the get-go, that's how sharp that break is to that slider. Between his cut fastball and slider, very similar break to it. 6 punch-outs in 5 1/3. Just 1 hit allowed, 1 walk. Bottom part of the order has really had a tough time against Kluber. 4 strikeouts, 4 at-bats.
2 balls, no strike on Escobar, 1 for 2. The only hit the Angels have is the double that Escobar collected in the first inning. The first batter Corey Kluber faced tonight. This was line to right field in a multi-hit game for Escobar. First base runner for the Angels since the second.
Well, that's his 10th multi-hit game here at the Big A in the last 22 games. Now it's time for the top tier play of the game, brought to you by Arco. Look how far Cole Calhoun has to go to track down and dive for this baseball. On the warning track and try to brace himself before he goes into that short wall, the full extension. Garrett loving that play by Cole Calhoun. Just a solid player.
That was a fair ball. Rob Drake had
Yes.
pointed fair.
And you're diving on that warning track. And then you're going right into that short wall.
Cole pulls one down to the right field line. That's a fair ball. Martinez up with it. Fires it toward third. Escobar will get in there. As that throw gets cut off, it was offline. And the Angels have runners at first and third. The first time they've had multiple base runners against Kluber.
Good swing from Cole. Stayed back on that one. Hooks it right down in the right field. Martinez did a nice job of getting himself a good throwing position. And then that throw a little bit up shortstop side. Lindor has to cut it off. Reason why you do that anyhow is to make sure you keep Cole at first base and not allow him to have 2 runners get into scoring position. We talked about Mike Trout, what he did last year in the last game against Cleveland. There's 4 hits. He had 2 singles, a double, and a triple in our opening. An RBI ground out. 40 RBI. His last 46 games, an opportunity to drive in more here.
Mike in the top 10 as far as runs batted in is concerned in the American League. In Napoli with time coming in with 43. David Ortiz leads with 55.
The retiring David Ortiz.
Yeah. 1 ball, no strikes. Trout 0 for 2. A couple of ground outs, picked up the RBI in the first inning. It's 44th. Trout fouls it off. 1-1.
What a pitch to drive there. A 93-mile-an-hour fastball. The zone where Mike Trout crushes. In 417 on high pitches, which is second best in baseball. He got one there and just missed it.
One. In the dirt, gets away from Gomes. Here comes Escobar, 6-2 Cleveland. A wild pitch gives the Angels their second run.
3rd wild pitch of the season for Kluber. In the zone, Gomes usually really good as far as keeping that in front. Very difficult pitch to keep in front though. Cut fastball in the dirt.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Well, he has that slider working tonight. Whether it's his cut fastball or slider.
He could kind of play around here if he wants with first base open. I mean, he's got great stuff tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he threw another one of those cutters or sliders off the plate. Oh, he tried to climb the ladder. That was a pretty good pitch.
Yeah.
Even though we mentioned those numbers for Trout on high pitches in the strike zone this year, 417. He was looking down and away.
That pitch seemed to catch part of the zone. Eddie Fletcher's strike zone tonight's been kind of all over the map. Here's the 3-2. This one's pulled to third. Uribe comes up with it, across the diamond, 2 down. Calhoun has to remain at second base. So here comes Albert. Albert 0 for 2, a ground out in the first, a fly ball to center in the fourth. Ground ball to short. Lindor comes up with it. And the Angels are done here in the 6th inning. They do get a run on the wild pitch. We head to the 7th. Halos down 6-2. Is brought to you by Energy Upgrade California. It's easy to stay golden at energyupgradeca.org. By Heffernan Insurance Brokers, insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com. And by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Jose Alvarez out for his 2nd inning of work as we begin the 7th. Kipnis, Lindor, and Napoli. 1 ball, no strikes on Jason Kipnis. 2 for 3 tonight with a couple of singles and an RBI.
Kipnis chased the pitch out of the strike zone there. Now ahead of the count, Alvarez can try to get him to swing and miss on a breaking ball.
Count still at a ball and 2 strikes. Alvarez picked up a couple of strikeouts in the 6th inning. This is line to left. Leadoff single for Kipnis. That's his 3rd hit of the night. The 10th for Cleveland. Angel fans, the 2016 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot is here. Head to angels.com to choose your All-Star Game worthy stars and send them to the MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard on July 12th in San Diego. Vote today, vote tomorrow, vote at angels.com/vote. There's Lindor, the shortstop, hitless tonight, 0 for 2. Had a sac fly in the second. Picked up his 30th run batted in. Takes a strike. Youngs are going with the old school stirrup socks. Ground ball to short. Could be 2. Petit got rid of it quickly, and it is 2. Double play, 2 down.
Yeah, that was well turned. Quickly get rid of that to Giavitello from Petit. 6-4-3, double play.
First baseman, number 26,
It's all about that quick feed over to him. Quick underhand, gets rid of it quickly. 6-4-3, well done.
Gregorio Petit has done one heck of a job filling in for Andrelton Simmons. Apparently will not be rejoining the Angels this weekend. 31-year-old veteran. Many minor league seasons, getting an opportunity to play every day. Napoli skies one on the right field line, slicing toward the wall, and Cole almost got there.
Yeah, the way that baseball started drifting back as it got higher up above the stadium. Boy, off the bat, thought that was going to be in the stands for sure. Well, you can see exactly how far Cole had to run, even get close to that baseball.
Ball and a strike on Napoli. 1 for 2 tonight.
And that seems to be the theme, to try to get him to chase a high fastball.
Little dribbler foul. Gotten better as far as the average is concerned. With just 205 in the month of April. And 248 last month with 7 home runs. And 267 so far in June. Cleveland, by the way, 7-2 in June. And he goes down swinging. 3rd strikeout of the night for Napoli at stretch time here at the Big A, and the Angels trail at 6-2.
on the upcoming schedule. 2 more tomorrow night, of course, a 7:05 start. And then on Sunday, 12:35. Twins in town for 3 beginning Monday night. The Angels have an off day. They will travel on that off day up to the Bay Area, take on the Oakland Athletics through the weekend. Then it's off to Houston for the year. Their first visit of the season to Minute Maid Park. Marte, Giavotella, and Ortega for the Angels here in the bottom of the 7th. One ball, 1 strike on Marte. First baseman tonight, 0 for 2. Ground down to fly ball to right.
He's really thrown that slider very well in his cut fastball, lower part of the strike zone, or just out of the strike zone, but close enough to get hitters to swing at it.
Six strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 hits allowed for Kluber so far. Marte grounds with Chopin towards short. Lindor to his left. It looks so easy. 1 down.
He's got great range, soft hands, and a strong throwing arm. He just gets to this baseball easily. It's under control. And then a perfect throw over the first base, a special young talent.
You know, it reminds me of a little bit more so on the offensive side, his approach at the plate, especially from the right side. The one time maybe Tony Fernandez.
Yes. He was a very good player himself.
Giavotella cuts through that first breaking ball. It's a 0-1 count. Johnny with a walk and a fly ball to right. Johnny trying to lift and separate. Comes up empty. It's 0-2 count.
Another one of his good cut fastballs from Kluber.
Missed off the plate. 1-2. 6 runs, 10 hits, 4 left on for Cleveland. 2 runs, 3 hits, an error, 2 left on for the Angels. Pardon me. This one's out toward left center field. It's playable for Ramirez. 2 down. Ortega 0 for 2 with a strikeout, a fly ball to center. By the way, tomorrow night, Matt Shoemaker's on the mound against Trevor Bauer. Former Indian David Huff gets a start for the Angels. Danny Salazar on the mound.
There's Bauer.
For Cleveland on Sunday. There's Bauer.
Hart High School, Santa Clarita, UCLA. It's Matt Shoemaker tomorrow night. Shoe has been throwing the ball exceptionally well of late. Well, he threw the ball so well in New York and ended up picking up the loss out of that game, but he was dominant.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Breaking ball, just missed. Kluber thought he had himself a punch out, took a step toward the dugout. Full count.
A little bit off the outside corner, or inside corner, I should say. Just missed that spot.
Time call because of the beach ball out at right. Clearing Ron Renicky out of the way on that line drive foul.
90 pitches thrown, 57 of them strikes for Kluber. There's 3 counts in which he has thrown 3 balls in a bat so far in the game.
Ortega hits one out toward right center field. Long run for Martinez, still racing back, and he'll make the catch on the track as the Angels are done here in the 7th. We get to the 8th. Halos trail it 6-2.
Top of the 8th inning, the 5th Angels pitcher of the evening as the Halos struggling in game 1 of this 6-game homestand, down 6-2 to the Cleveland Indians. Welcome back, everyone. Ken French with you, and following this one, it's Angels Live presented by your SoCal Mazda dealers. Myself, Jose Mota, Alex Curry bring all the interviews and reaction from this one. We'll also take a look at day 2 of the MLB draft and take a closer look at some of the Halos prospects. And finally, we're going to preview a brand new edition of Angels Weekly, which airs after the post-game show. That and much more following tonight's game. But right now, listening inside to Victor and Gooby, guys.
Thanks a lot, Frenchie. Here at the top of the 8th inning, the Angels go with Fernando Salas after Jose Alvarez gave the Angels 2 scoreless innings. Salas more than likely work the 8th and 9th, depending on how things work out for him. 27th game, 2-2 record, a 3.62 ERA. 4th reliever used by Socha, with Hector Santiago getting knocked out of the 2nd, lasting just an inning in the 3rd. 6 runs, 5 earned. Guerra for 2 2/3, Pedroia for 1, Alvarez for 2, and here's Salas to face Carlos Santana. Indians DH, 1 for 3, double home run and score to the 1st inning. He's hit 2 fly ball outs since then. Fernando last pitched on Tuesday for 11 pitches. Count remains at 1 ball, 2 strikes. Foul back. Cleveland striking for 4 runs in the first inning. And 2 in the second. Bullpen's kept things in check since then. Angels getting solo runs in the first and 6th. Both of those runs scored by Escobar. Multi-hit game for him with a double and a single. 2-2.
Try to get him to chase that changeup off the plate.
Down goes Santana. Good off-speed pitch. 1 away.
Take a look at another game break today in Major League Baseball up in Toronto. Encarnacion in the 10th inning of the tie game against Baltimore, going the other way with a walk-off home run as Toronto picks up a game on first place. Baltimore 4-3 victory for the Blue Jays.
Free agent to be Edwin Encarnacion.
Lots of consistent swings and home runs for Encarnacion over his career.
Out toward left field. Ortega calling for it. 2 down.
Third baseman, number
So 2 outs, nobody on for Juan Uribe. One for 3 game for the Indians' third baseman. One pitch. It's a ground ball to short. Petit has it. And Saddles with a 1-2-3-8. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning. 8-9-1 coming up for the Halos, down 6-2.
Trevor Bauer, 4-2 record with a 3.88 ERA going against Matt Shoemaker, 3-7 with a 5.40 ERA. Coverage starts at 6:30 tomorrow, and it's going to be seen on Fox Sports 1. Here they are right there. The pitcher's going tomorrow night. Shoemaker, you talk about dominating the strike zone, especially with his split finger fastball. Bauer with 4 or 5 plus type pitches he will throw during the course of the game.
Carlos Perez 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Takes inside. That was the 92nd pitch thrown by Corey Kluber. He's got Perez, Petit, and Escobar. Carlos and Grigoriev struck out 4 of the 6 times tonight for the Angels. Two balls, 2 strikes.
With that location, the fastball at 93 from Kluber, you kind of be thinking he's going to try that slider off the outside corner again. Yeah, he tried it. He's got Carlos have chased that twice already.
Carlos hits one out to right field. Martinez moves over. 1 down.
Tell you what, he can cover some ground.
Yeah.
That play he made last inning to finish off the inning against Ortega, he came out of nowhere to run that way down to right center field.
He can play multiple positions. As you mentioned before, just like Ramirez in left field. We saw Ramirez last year play some second base. Bounce it around. Oh for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Bounce this one left side. Uribe cuts it off. 2 down.
Talk about how far Martinez went on this baseball. Off the bat for Ortega, I'm thinking that's at least a double, maybe a triple. See how far he's able to run back there. Checked exactly where the wall was going to be located. Did a warning track. Ran it down rather easily. But off the bat, from our angle here, it looked like he had no chance to get there, but a nice play.
Escobar 2 for 3 with a double and a single. The only other hit the Angels have picked up is the Calhoun single in the 6th inning.
Kluber with 102 pitches thrown. He has 1 complete game. It was a shutout earlier this year. It was against Detroit back on May 4th. Certainly he's looked under control from the get-go, helped out to get an early lead.
Escobar goes down looking, and the Angels go down in order, and that's 8 in a row. Retired by Kluber. We head to the ninth, 6-2 Cleveland. Rivalries in baseball. Giants taking on the Dodgers at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on FS1. Indians take on the Angels in a game you can only see on FS1. You can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Down to the ninth inning. Corey Kluber's worked 8 innings so far, 6-2 lead. And it appears if there's any signs of him coming out, 104 pitches. The Angels go to their bullpen once again. It's Corey Rasmus taking over. He pitched last night, went 1 inning, gave up a run on 2 hits, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. He's going to face Gomes, Martinez, and Davis, 8-9-1 for the Indians. Yanked foul. Gomes 0 for 3, a couple of fly ball outs to the strikeout. Toward short. One down.
Haven't seen another fine play at that shortstop position. He's been very solid.
Right fielder, number 1, Martinez.
Martinez a couple of hits, 2 singles and a pop-up. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth inning. The Angels have Calhoun, Trout, and Pujols coming up. Oh, 2 inside. He knew going into the series, Gooby, that with Cleveland in town for the weekend, wasn't going to get any easier for the Angels facing the starting pitching that they have. And Kluber has been really good tonight.
Now his break on his slider and cut fastball, just enough fastballs inside and outside and elevated. Excellent effort for him at this point. Bullpen for the Angels has certainly been very good tonight. A lot of work out of the bullpen.
Rajai Davis a 1-for-4 game with a double and a run scored. Davis skies one out towards center field. This one will chase Trout back. Just shy of the track. They'll put it away, and we will head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Calhoun, Trout, Pujols coming up for the Angels, down 6-2. Cleveland on top. Corey Kluber back out of the mound. 8 career complete games. He's got to go through Calhoun, Trout, and Pujols to do that. He's pitched very well. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 3 hits allowed.
Completely under control. He's looked exactly the same here in the 9th inning as he did back in the 1st as far as staying right on that pitching rubber. A lot of confidence working right now. 104 pitches thrown at this point.
Cole swinging first pitch, pops it up. Uribe racing over into foul territory. 1 out. Cole a 1-for-4 game. It's the first out here in the 9th. And here comes Trout.
Runs he has given up today. A ground ball out by Trout for an RBI, and also a run scored on a wild pitch.
Trout looks at a strike. Mike, 3 ground ball outs tonight. Picked up an RBI in the 1st.
Very economical in almost every single inning. Most he has thrown an inning twice at 16 pitches. 2nd inning and the 6th.
Called strike 3, down goes Trout, 2 down. 8th strike out of the night for Kluber.
As far as velocity on a fastball, that might have been its best of the night. 95 mile-an-hour fastball. Brings that 2-seam fastball back and catches the outside corner. He's faced 30 batters tonight. 20 first pitch strikes for Kluber.
Albert 0 for 3. 2 ground outs and a fly ball to center. Stack the infield with 3 on the left side. Napoli playing almost as a second baseman, playing in. Breaking ball. It's 1-2.
Yeah, Cleveland doesn't do a whole lot of shifting. They're about middle of the pack, 14th as far as that. 369 shifts they put on defensively this season.
Two now. Albert taps it foul. It's really a very masterful performance tonight by Corey Kluber.
Talk about hitting spots. Paints the fastball away, but also will throw enough fastballs in to make sure you're aware of that, so you can't just look out over the plate for a slider or a cut fastball.
2-2. Albert grounds one right to Napoli. He will take it himself. The Angels will drop the opening game of the series by the final of 6-2 and have now lost 5 in a row.
Well, a big first inning for Cleveland, scoring 4 runs. From that point forward, Corey Kluber really shut down the Angels, allowing just 3 hits, picking up his second complete game of the season. As Cleveland wins game 1 of this 3-game set, 6-2. Hector Santiago will pick up the loss. Kluber with the victory, now 6-6 on the season.
9th career complete game for Kluber. 6-2 the final. Stick around. Angels Live post games coming up next.